Estate Agency X, the UK's #1 estate agency podcast discussing the future of estate agency, entrepreneurship and business, hosts Mark Burgess and Rob Brady. So welcome to this episode of Estate Agency X. Today we're talking about the estate agency business journey, which Mark has created. It's called S.C.O.P.E. And if you want to know more about how it works, what it's about, then listen to this episode. So Mark, this one I'm going to talk about is the estate agency business journey. Something you've been crafting for, I wouldn't say crafting for you, but involved you probably for decades now.
Yeah.
So this episode, for anyone listening out there, wanted to sort of discuss certain stages that you've started to analyse in your experience of the predictable estate agency journey out there. So if you're listening out there, listen in and just probably see where you're probably at this moment in time. So the first one, there's 5 stages. So if you want to run through the 5 stages.
Yeah, I mean, it comes from just my general business in journey to be my general journey through business, unrelated to estate agency to start with. So businesses that I've had over the years that have been okay and then not gone so well, businesses that have gone like a rocket ship, and you know, all the things that I learned. And on that journey, I was taught by my mentors, where things really turned around for me, was that business had these predictable stages. Even though we all feel like our businesses are unique, and even in certain niches, people feel like their businesses are unique in that niche, like a estate agency. That's even if that's true, the business itself has predictable stages of growth. And if you know them, they're easier to navigate. Once I learnt them, I was able to build £15 million businesses, as opposed to businesses that sort of just floated around doing okay, or went from good to bad, or bad to good. So from my knowledge, having done that, we started working with estate agents, offering them products, and some of those products were around marketing, some of those products were around data, some around AI, CRM, all of these different things. And then I started to be able to implement what I had learned through my stages specifically into how it works in a estate agency. Similar process, but just tailored specifically for a estate agency. Now, having run that process with hundreds of different firms, we can prove that it works. So, as you say, there are 5 stages that spell out the word scope, S-C-O-P-E. First one stands for startup. So in answer to your question, the first stage is startup. And what we would class as startup, it doesn't matter what anyone else does, in this particular methodology, what's classed as startup is you're just thinking of starting an estate agency. You haven't really got into anything yet. It's quite exciting. You know you're going to do it. Possibly you've left your job. Possibly you haven't. But you've got an idea. Maybe you've got a logo. And it seems like a very exciting but nervous time.
So you basically gone to Canva, made a logo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Rob Brady Estates.
Yeah, that is pretty much.
And I've just started that. Right. How would this work?
Yeah, startup, as I say, is a fun time. It's exciting, a bit nerve-wracking. You don't know if it's going to work out, but you're pretty excited about it. You've borrowed some money off the friends and family, or credit cards, or saved it up, or whatever you've done. You've done Excel spreadsheets until you're blue in the face trying to figure out, how you will make any money and how many houses you might sell. And you're just about to go, right, yes, we're going to do it.
Stage of dreaming, yeah?
Yeah.
And for anyone listening out there who's probably in that, so even if it might be, I'm still working in an estate agency and I keep tentatively looking at a notebook that I keep writing my ideas down when I start, any advice you'd probably recommend at that stage to maybe think about doing?
I think, again, for any business, not just estate agency, any business you're thinking about starting is difficult. You never know when's the right time to jump in. Sometimes things are forced upon you, and quite often that's the best way. Usually you'll hear some sort of story from somebody who started a business whereby they were almost forced into it.
Yeah. Made redundant.
Yeah, something like that. So I think you just have to get on. Like, there's only a certain amount of planning you can do. We're taught in schools that there's a right answer for everything, and there's just a lot of things in life where it doesn't matter how many times you try and work it out, you're never going to find the one right answer whereby you can guarantee it's going to go that way.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're going to take on 5 houses and sell 4 of them. You don't know if you're going to take on 10, or if it's going to be 20, or if it's going to be none. Like, no one knows, and you're going to take a bit of a gamble on it. So the only thing I would say is to be probably a bit more realistic about what it's going to cost you to give it a go. Will it pay off? Statistically, it might well pay off for you. Like, you know, there's a reasonable amount of chance that it's going to pay off, but no one's ever going to be able to guarantee that for you. So you've got to be willing to lose the money.
And for me, I always see where you see agents who've parted ways with other businesses, and someone says, "Oh, they're never going to make it." And a year down the line, 2 years down the line, they've got a decent amount of stock that they're making a living out of it. But like, you know, we have had on previous episodes, that comes with the hard effort. And
yeah, I mean, startup leads into phase 2, which we'll talk about more in a second, which, you know, brings its own, as it's called, challenges, brings its own challenges. But just in that phase of startup, I think it's just about, fuck it, let's get on with it.
Yeah. So next stage, challenger, yeah?
Yeah, challenges. So this stage is a horrible part of business, really. There's actually 2 phases to it. There's the first phase where, okay, you've gone, fuck it, let's get on with it, and now you've got to try and get some listings.
Yeah.
Maybe you come with some listings, possibly, like, you know, by some way from your old job, who knows. Maybe you don't, but either way, you're going to quickly get to the point where you realise it's not that easy to get listings, and the brand that you were working for was in some way attracting some people that were putting their houses on the market, even though you felt like you were doing it all. There was something magically that was happening at that old company that was making people put their houses on the market. And that's it's a tough stage, but it's still quite early in the business model, and so you kind of accepted it's going to be that way. It's not that horrible, and you know, you probably will get through it. How you get through it is probably pretty much just the tried and tested methods of going for the low-hanging fruit. You know, you really need a presence in the area for people to know you exist, and you can do that, you know, through running Facebook ads and Google ads and all of that sort of stuff. But you know, that's more brand awareness. That's not necessarily going to lead to people immediately phoning you up, putting their house on the market, which is kind of what you need in order to. You need food to eat to survive at this stage in your business. So the only way of getting those houses right now is probably to go and get houses that other agents have been unsuccessful with. You may well also be unsuccessful with it because, you know, maybe there's a reason the agent's been unsuccessful. Maybe the vendor's deluded about the price, or who knows. But just having the boards is a plus for you at this particular point in your journey. Getting up boards, you know, even weirdly, it's worth probably paying people to have boards at this point in your journey, because the key thing for you is for people to know that there's a new estate agent in town, another option for them on the table.
Some credibility.
And there will be there's going to be somebody that is about to start thinking about using an estate agent, and they need to know that you're one of the options on the table. You know, not everybody spends 5 years living in the town thinking about what estate agent should I use. You know, it may be something that is just about to occur to somebody, and they may or may not know that you're a new start business. But either way, they need to know that you're one of the options. And the only real way of doing that is probably at this stage they're seeing your boards. Yeah, maybe you've got the money to do some Facebook ads because it's not that expensive, and just kind of letting people know that you exist. It doesn't have to be the whole, there's a special offer for new people. You know, the early stage of challenge is just, we just need to let people know that we're now one of the options on the table, and that's done by the old-fashioned methods of going out and knocking on doors, of low-hanging fruit and sending letters and doing general brand awareness. And there isn't really any way around that. But if you want to get some houses on the market now, by hook or by crook, whether it's even for free. You know, you just want to get some houses on the market.
Mortlock and Joyce, when the guys came in from that previously, they said the first thing for them was going for your phone book and trying to speak to anyone that you know,
Absolutely.
friends and family, or friends and family, or friends, cousins, aunties, uncles, whatever, to try and get stock on.
It's the way I think any experienced estate agent would go. That's it. You want a house? You want to get a house on the market today? Then we're going to go and need to knock on some houses and some doors of some people that have got their house on the market.
Yeah.
It's obvious, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not a sustainable way of running your business, but it's essential at the early stage of that challenger phase of the business. The second part of that stage comes when you've got some houses on the market, and you know that's not that much of an issue anymore. But you've got everything's paying a shit fee, and you've got too much work to do now. You've got vendors complaining about shit. Maybe it's their fault. Maybe it's your fault. There's a bit too much work coming in. You've got too many people that you can manage it all via WhatsApp. Previously, you may not have needed a CRM because it was a bit of a waste of money. Now you kind of do, but you still haven't got enough money to pay for it. And, you know, you're starting to need to be able to charge better fees, but, you know, not sure you can. And this is now getting to the really shit stage of business, whereby you might even have got to the stage whereby you've been able to employ a few members of staff, but they're not really doing what you wanted them to do. The business isn't making money. You were making more money when it was you on your own. You're sort of, everybody's getting paid except you are. It's just a shit part of, you know, it's a really crap part of running a business. The second stage of challenger is like whereby you're wondering like if it would have been easier if you'd just stayed employed.
I can even just outside the industry, like just in general, my brothers in general, like, you know, both of them are business owners, and one's probably, he's probably going for that stage right now. The other one's come out the other side of it.
Yeah.
And it's tough, really tough on that. Conversations I've had with them over that.
Very, very difficult. It's not many of us, myself included, like not many entrepreneurs, it's not many estate agents have done anything in life that prepares them for that phase of business. You know, we've been estate agents, or maybe, you know, when my first business that I ever started was an IT recruitment agency, and I've been on IT recruitment, and so I could just do the job.
Yeah.
And so the stage of startup is just dreaming. The early stage of challenger, you get to carry on doing the job that you know how to do, but you're just trying to get someone to take a chance on you. Next up, you suddenly are faced with the idea that you need to know how to do marketing, you need to know how to do accounts, you need to know how to do customer service, you need to know how to do like all of these things and manage people and recruit people and find people, and it's just a really crap phase of business whereby, as I say, there is a part of you that thinks maybe I've got the wrong people. Like it seemed easier when it was just me on my own.
And then we move on to operational.
Yeah, if you can get through the challenger phase, you move to a nice phase, which we've classed as called operational. If you look at the graphic on our homepage, there are 2 red phases and 3 green. Operational's green. It sort of signals like a little bit of respite. I think when you're in the operational stage of a business, you still have challenges, and you still sometimes think this isn't as good as I hoped it would be.
Yeah.
But if you generally step back and reflect on the whole thing, it's pretty good. So you get paid now. There's not much danger of you not getting paid anymore, and all your staff get paid, and there's not really much danger of that happening. A little bit of roller coaster still when operational with cash flow. You know, it goes up and down, and it can be a little bit close to the edge sometimes. But generally, you're a reasonably established business. You've probably been around 4 or 5 years plus, so you're pretty established in your town. You might not be the number one agent by whatever weird method people measure it, you know, but you're up there now as like one of the recognised estate agents in the town. You've got people that do lots of the jobs in the company, but you yourself also still work in the company.
Yeah.
you can go on holiday, but when you come back, it's probably going to be a bit of a mess to untangle things. So you're not yet at the stage whereby you're sort of purely sitting up in Mr. Strategy seat running a company. You're an estate agent again. You've just made a job for yourself this time, and you still go out and value houses probably. You still speak to clients, you still solve problems, you still get involved with the day-to-day of running the estate agency. You've just got, things are just a bit more settled around you.
Do you think stage, going from that, what you're saying about the stage before to the operation, do you think it's more cash in the bank and continuous better income coming in that allows you to be more operational? Is there any other factors to that?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think it's the transition over to being able to start to charge better fees.
Yeah.
Because in this early stage of Challenger, you take anything on the market. You just want someone to give you a chance. So, if I say to you, look, I'm only going to put my house on the market with you for 500 quid, you just do it. You just take it because, you need listings. And then eventually you get listings, and so you get some more listings. But then you've sort of anchored yourself at these low fees, like it makes a difference. And now you've got listings, but you're not making any money. Yeah. So you've got a new problem on your hands. Yeah. The problem in the beginning was I need people to know I exist. I need some listings. And then I almost feel better. Like I have managed to now prove to all my friends and family that I can get houses on the market and sell them, but I haven't made any money. So then you have to somehow figure out, how do you transition from that to charging a slightly better fee? And a lot of people that move to operational have done that, but they haven't probably done it well enough that they can't remove themselves out of the business.
Yeah, I think,
and they're probably still at the stage whereby if they really want to win a listing, they're the ones who should go on the valuation.
Yeah, or the fees enough to cover more of that, but not enough to allow you to step away or release enough capital more to then relinquish that.
Yeah, generally what you find at the operational stage is that everything gets paid, but if you was to step out of the business, the person that you'd need to bring in to replace yourself would use up all the rest of the money, so you'd have no money to live.
Yeah, 100%. And been in this industry long enough, you see, I'll be honest with you, I see a lot of people, agents, fluttering still between being at 3 and using methods of 2.
So operational and challenge.
Yeah, I mean, they're operational and they're trying to use challenger ways, tactics, like you said, the short-term things to do that, and then wonder why they're a bit frustrated because they're still servicing a lot of clients on low fees, and everything's either reactive or very last minute. So it's like, we've not got enough listings, just do those traditional methods.
Go back out and get the low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, and that'll always draw you back down to level 2, because you will get some listings, but they're probably going to be at crap fees or shit that no one else can sell.
Yeah.
So it's the tricky bit is a lot of us were never taught anything on how to move through these phases. We've sort of done it by accident, just as a fight or flight. Yeah. So you start a business, you move into fight or flight mode, you get some listings, right? And then you move into operational, you're still in sort of fight or flight mode, you just get some listings. Yeah. You're not actually building towards stage 5 of excellence. You're not even aware of it. You're just randomly going through this course, getting there by accident.
And everyone I've run through, even the clients that I've run through the stages since you sort of showcased it out, it's so relatable to them. And I feel like even stage 3 is where complacency sits in a lot. And
there's nothing wrong with stage 3. You can stay there forever. Yeah, but it's actually quite a nice place to be.
But it's almost a bit like what you said at the beginning, from first stage, startup stage, to when you get to 2 and 3. I think at 3 is like, if your dreams and expectations could be wild at startup. And at stage 3, it's either a bit like they say when it comes to, like, when you start to hit 40 and you have that second climb. Like, do you accept what the actual reality becomes?
Yeah.
Or do you pursue the ultimate dream?
Yeah, you stick or twist. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. I think a lot of estate agents are operational, and whether they're happy with it or whether they're not happy with it, like, that's where they're gonna continue to live. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing at all wrong with staying at the operational stage. The benefits, everything will stay under your control.
Yeah.
You'll remain the master of everything, and so therefore, like, you know, you'll be able to sleep at night in terms of knowing what's going on. The downsides, you'll probably never be able to sell the business, and you'll always have to work in it. But you know, you've probably almost certainly got a better life than if you had stayed employed at that stage.
So the final two stages, like the next stage, the question I'm going to ask you is briefly outline what that is, and if you can come back to it, if you are at stage 3, what might you be feeling to want to jump into that next stage?
So the next stage is a funny one. So next stage is pressure cooker.
Yeah.
The P from S.C.O.P.E. And people tend to fall into pressure cooker by accident. What they're aiming for is the 5th stage, stage 5, which is excellence. That's what they're actually aiming for. But what's happened is, in startup, you have managed to get some business by hook or by crook. You've then managed to employ some staff and train them by hook or by crook. You've managed to get to the stage of operational, whereby like cash flow is less of an issue than it was and you're getting paid, and you've just bumbled through these things. And so naturally you sort of think to yourself, well, we'll just keep going. We'll get some more staff, we'll expand our area, maybe we'll open a second branch, or if that is even a thing anymore, like we'll just move into other areas and keep on going with it. But that unfortunately isn't going to work. And what people tend to do is they fall into this section called pressure cooker, whereby they expand the team and the resources beyond what is now controllable by that one person that started the whole company, or partners, whatever it might be. It's usually when the team starts to expand out beyond, 12 or something like that. That's the methodology for general business anyway. Estate agency may be slightly smaller, but in general business, once the team expands out beyond 12, you start to get problems. And the sort of problems that you face are, you've got a mishmash of people. You've got some people that have been there from the beginning when you were in the challenger stage, maybe even the startup stage, that understand like this is just an all hands to the pump kind of job where we do what's required whenever it's needed. And you've got some people that think they're joining a proper company and look at the other people like they're weird, and vice versa. And you get this separation in the company.
Yep.
Some people that think there should be rules around certain things, and some people that think we don't need rules. And you as the business owner are left in the middle thinking like, fuck am I supposed to do with all of this shit?
It relates back to the transition from the old agency,
right?
Where we recruit new people and old people, and the old people next to new people, and those people are like driven, and the other people are like, calm down.
Yeah, calm
down. What are you doing here?
Yeah, that's right. And then there's other issues that people face. Like again, you almost move back to a little bit of the challenger, whereby suddenly you can find that to do this, you're going to need to make investment into the business. Because obviously if you just sat operational and it was just paying all the bills, then clearly if you're going to want to expand into another area, you might need to put some money in.
Yeah.
And you haven't really had to do that for a while in operational, so you might start investing into the business. And if a member of staff isn't working out for whatever reason, because you don't get on with them or they're not producing the results that you wanted, eventually you start wondering if you should reverse back. So generally in pressure cooker, what happens is people expand the team, they have problems with the team, and they start losing money again for the first time in a long time, and wondering like, how am I supposed to actually get through this stage? Is the business even working? The business is actually working. It's just they're not aware that to get to excellence, which is what they're trying to do, whereby the system just runs itself and you're not needed and you still get paid, you have to go through this pressure cooker stage.
And it's quite interesting because really when you look at that from a lot of people, it's that whole, if you look at it as a short term without no direction, you think, I've made a mistake here. I'm going to revert back to safety, isn't it?
Fire all these people.
Yeah, I spoke to an agent quite some time ago, and they said they went on a big expansion, And he said we expanded too quickly, too aggressively, with no system scales, people in place. And now they've had to pull themselves back to literally a team of 4.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm scared to ever do that again.
Yeah, and most people aren't, and they'll probably stay operational for the rest of the time that they're in business. What it turns out that I didn't know, and most estate agents would have no way of knowing, most entrepreneurs would have no way of knowing, is that really you want to get through the pressure cooker stage as fast as possible. It's always going to be a bit uncomfortable, but if you know that it's a sort of an alleyway on the journey to excellence, and someone can show you how to get through it, then you can zip through the pressure cooker stage on the road to excellence, know that there'll be some bumps in the road, but they're kind of expected, and get where it was you were trying to go. And where you were trying to go was a place whereby you didn't have to now go and do all of the valuations, or even some of them. You didn't have to answer every HR issue. You didn't have to be there for the morning meetings. You could come back from 4 weeks holiday without it being a mess. You know, that's where you were trying to get to. And you can. It's just, to do it, you need a company, not a nice little job that you've made for yourself where people help out. You know, you're going to have to learn some stuff that you don't know. And it's going to take you years of messing around to try and figure it out on your own. It'll be much quicker for you just to let someone show you. It's a bit like if you tried to figure out maths on your own, as opposed to just spending a few hours with a maths tutor. You know, you'd just get it, wouldn't you? And you'd be like, oh, right, okay, I see. And that's what happened for me. You know, I spent this time, I happened to fall into the place whereby I could work with mentors that had all built £100 million businesses, and they could go, no, you're doing it wrong, Mark. You just do these 5 things, and like everything's great.
It's a bit like I don't know, a simple thing like an engine, isn't it? Whereas if you sat down with a mechanic and they basically said, right, you said, all right, it's a bit sticky when it starts up. Oh, you need to change the spark plugs. And instead of looking at the whole thing, the mechanic's gone, undo this, and this, and this, replace this and this, change this. Yeah, it's a lot more easier.
I'd say it's more like trying to build a Lego set with no instructions versus trying to build it with instructions. Yeah, it's really not that complicated with the instructions, but without it, it's like, you know, me and my son Fraser just made this. You know, we had this little project to make this Lego version of Old Trafford, right? And you know, imagine doing it with no instructions. It'd just be impossible. But with instructions, you just follow the instructions. It's pretty straightforward. It's exactly like that.
Yeah. And then, so I've got a question for that one, though, because clients I've spoken to. Do you think there's 2 stages to that? If it's not a quick. Because what I've noticed with that summer stage, you tend to find you've got agents who have, it's almost like a settling stage they tend to go through, where they've managed to recruit. Say for example, someone's doing all the valuations, so they know they need to get someone in place to cover that. So they go through the process of working out that structure. Like we go through some of our workshops. They pull someone in, but there's still a position where they might need, 6 months to get them to understand that's how we do it, to then pull themselves out of it. And then they're in that position to then free up that time to then focus on what they need to do. Or do you feel that is excellent stage?
I'm not sure. I feel like they're still in operational.
Yeah.
Because whenever we do podcasts with estate agents, usually on Estate Agency X, a lot of people have got the background whereby I left school with no qualifications. When I worked in estate agency, they stuck me on the front desk and I just got on with it, right? But whenever you talk to agents about who they're trying to recruit, they're like, oh, I want someone with like 4 years industry experience, and if they haven't got it, then they're going to have to shadow me for this. It's not that complicated a job. You know, so what it says to me is that you just don't have any systems in place. That's why it's taken you 6 months to hand the valuations over. You know, how is it that McDonald's can get teenagers that are unable to tidy their bedroom to go in and run the restaurant like a fucking machine? Because they've got systems, because there's no other way of doing it. Right? So but that's what happens when you start your estate agency. you're a good estate agent and you get houses, and then you slowly expand to the point whereby now you're trying to teach people how to be a good estate agent. Just just watch me for a bit, like, and that will always keep you at that operational stage. When you move into the pressure cooker, is when it really starts to cause you more problems. Like, you can't do that with a team of 12 people, 15 people, 20 people, whatever it ends up needing to be. It's difficult enough to do it just with 5, because you might constantly find yourself thinking like, oh, blimey, why can't these people just think for themselves? Because you made them
And actually,
not think for
really,
themselves.
when you look at it, they look to you for the direction of, oh my God, we're in a high stress state situation, but you haven't even worked out the actual process to review and refine.
Yeah.
In that.
There's so many aspects to it,
Yeah,
this is
lot.
what this is why we have a lot of different aspects to Iceberg. It's not a CRM system. Yes, you need a CRM system, but you need it to work a certain way if you're planning on going to the stage of excellence. If you're not, then it doesn't really matter. You can knock it together however you want. You can use any of the standard transactional CRM systems that are out there. It won't make any difference to you. By hook or by crook, like I said before, you'll find a way. If you're a decent estate agent, get some decent fees, you'll be fine. But if you want to go to the stage of excellence, you need your systems in order to do certain things. It's not about whether you can book a viewing in the diary easily. It's more than that. You'll never get there otherwise. You're going to get into the pressure cooker, and then you're going to have to change your whole system. You need to understand how marketing works internally and externally. You're going to need some teaching around that. It's why we have coaching. It's why we have an accelerator program. It's why we bring in some of the best people in the world. Mike, who was ex-CEO of Bank of New York Financial, like, people that can just tell you how this shit works. You're not going to figure it out on your own. You're not going to be able to build the Lego stadium on your own. It's just going to take you forever. But you can run an estate agency as an estate agent and do quite a good job of it. If you want to go to the stage of excellence, then you need the Lego instructions. It's just, you can't figure it out otherwise. Go and listen to any entrepreneur's journey, and they'll tell you the same thing. Someone showed them how to do it.
And then to the final stage, excellence. If someone was listening to this and saying, "Oh, that's where I want to be," what would excellence look like? I know it's dependent on circumstantial and individuals of themselves, but
not so much really. I mean, excellence, like, you're not needed. You might still be involved if you want, but you're not needed. You're getting, there's enough money swilling around inside that company now that when everyone's been paid that is doing the everyday jobs, you still get enough money to live the life you want to live, whether that's to take money to invest in other things, get involved in other projects, do what you like. And yes, like I say, you might still want to be involved in some way, but you're just not really needed. HR issues resolve themselves. Marketing issues resolve themselves. The new business problem is being taken care of. The existing customer care is being taken care of. Every aspect of the business that you can kind of think of is being taken care of by people, and you're still getting more money than you were when you were at the stage of operational. And for some people that might seem, it's for the people that are at challenge or pressure cooker or operational, that might seem impossible, but it's reasonably straightforward. Like, if that's the plan from the beginning, it is pretty impossible if you're just going to try and figure it out yourself. It's like I say, it's like trying to figure out maths. Like, it'd just be much easier to buy a book on it.
Yeah.
And so that's why when we built Iceberg, I wanted to build a company specifically for estate agents that would give people access to all the things they needed to move through all of those stages with the goal of getting to excellence. And that's why there's a bit of confusion sometimes when someone maybe just phones us up and goes, "I just wanted to look at your CRM." There's loads of CRMs out there. Just go and use one of them. It doesn't. You won't see the point of life cycle unless you're looking at a bigger picture than that. Because why would you want to work with you as an elite performance coach? Why would you want to work on all of the 6 pillars that we've got, on like how to build through these stages? Why would you want to come on an accelerator program? Why would you want, certain things that you do inside life cycle, when all you're really interested in is like booking some viewings? Like, there's loads of software. You can get software for next to nothing that does that.
I think actually, for anyone else listening out there, like, that stage I went through is similar, but it was like when I got frustrated by the transference between CRMs, believing that's going to make a difference, and it did make a difference.
Just the same.
And if you're still in that and you're still trying to find that element to it, I think genuinely, like, I've been at now at Iceberg 5 years. Like, before that as an agent, I was in that part and I've seen the progression of that.
Yeah, but again, it's really based on what it is you're trying to achieve. Like, because if you are just switching software because your software is, you don't like it, but you want to carry on, everything else is rosy, then just go and get another CRM that does exactly the same. They all do exactly the same thing. They just look slightly different. So just go and pick one that looks slightly different. If you're actually thinking something's got to change here,
that's what I'm saying. Operational. If you're sat at operational, because quite a few people are probably sat in operational because you don't want to be sat in either side of that. I choose to sit in the reds, right?
Yeah.
You want to sit in the greens. So the operational part, you're saying basically, if you are sat in operational and there's something inside you that says, I want more, I desire more growth,
then
or to do something.
Then
that's
you need a company or a person or somebody to help you see how to do it.
Yeah.
There's changing software isn't going to make any difference to you.
Yeah.
You're going to do the same thing in that software that you're already doing.
Yeah.
There's a whole, definition of insanity, right? So you need more than that. You need access to something, and not just, I've met a mentor that can help me do this, but it's not linked to anything else you're doing. That's why we built Iceberg, like, so that we could go, look, there's a specific way of working to go through these phases. We've done it ourselves. We actually did this ourselves as a company. And this is how you have to have your data organised. This is how you have to have your CRM organised. This is how you have to have your marketing organised. This is how you have your team organised. This is how you have your branding organised. This is how you align everything. This is how you get your operations sorted. If you need in-person sessions, we can do that for you. If you need online sessions, we can do that for you. If you need software, we can do that for you. If you need coaching, we can do that for you. All of these things to help you move through these 5 stages to get to excellence, and keep a constant eye on the goal of, we're trying to get to excellence. We're not trying to, for instance, make a nicer brochure in the software, unless it involves getting the company to excellence.
Yeah.
And you can go onto our website, you can run a test and see where you sit in the process. Pretty accurate. Lots of clients have done it. See where you sit in that. You probably ring some bells with you, and then people don't have to do it with Iceberg. It's just, that's why we built the company, for people to have the ability to do it with one company if they want, and remain focused on the idea that they're trying to move to excellence, as opposed to, I'm trying to move my company to excellence, and so therefore I've chosen this software, and I've got this guy over here who mentors me, nothing to do with that software, and I've also got this other company that I go to for advice around marketing, nothing to do with the mentor or the software, and I've got this other company that I go to that help me, I don't know, try and stay organised with things, and they're nothing to do with any of the other 5 either, and all 5 of them have got their own methods, and eventually, guess what? I get confused by the whole thing and overwhelmed.
Because and not to go too much off topic, but even in our accelerator program, we've noticed that, where we've taken the best bits, but because it's fused, people have gone, I like this bit and I've liked that bit, but without doing that, like you just said, they'll be in that, I've got all this information, but I don't know how to facilitate into my own.
We can see it, like, it's proven time and time again with clients that we've done it with. We've had clients that have gone through those phases. We've had clients that have gone from being early challenger stage into late challenger into operational, and possibly now sitting in pressure cooker, but they know that they're moving on to excellence. We've got clients that were operational and are into excellence. You know, we've got clients that have tripled their fees and are living a life that they could never have dreamed of. And it's not easy to do it, but it is simple. You know, it is pretty simple. Every company does this. You all need certain things in place, and here are the people that can help you do it, whether that's the way you organise your data, the way you run your automations, the way you manage your staff, the way you recruit staff, the way you run meetings, the way you do your marketing, whatever it is. This Iceberg was built to help estate agents go through that predictable journey of getting from start-up through challenger, through operational, through pressure cooker, onto excellence. And
I'd probably say the last one. I remember I listened to a podcast, and I love this acronym. It was about MAP, Massive Action Plan, and I feel like you said there, you have a plan with this one, this one, this one, this one, and it's like if you want to go to that next stage, it's that massive action plan of facilitating all of it, but having the ability that it's all under one roof, so then it has the ability to be able to be done, like you said, the alleyway, rather than it just
for me, like, you know, when I started going on that journey of trying to figure all this stuff out, I didn't want to have to keep going and getting different advice from different people. I found some people like that were all linked together that all said the same thing to me, and that made life a lot easier. And maybe I'm sure there are many other methods out there, but I don't need more than one method to get me to the place that I needed to go to. I did it myself. I proved it works. Made 8-figure businesses. Made multiple 8-figure businesses now using the same methods, and we've put it into a estate agency in a version that works for them, and proven it works in a estate agency too. Like, how many methods do you need? Or not, or just do it yourself. It's not really, you know. You can have the Lego book, you can figure it out yourself, you can find someone else's Lego set, but either way, the worst thing you could do, I think, is just try and figure it out on your own. You know, you just fuck around for ages, losing money, wasting time, and with people around you questioning whether you're the right person to lead this or not. You are the right person to lead it. You just need a little bit of guidance.
We've had a good episode. So, website, if you want to go and test yourself.
Yeah, if you go to iceberg-digital.co.uk, I think even just icebergdigital.co.uk will take you there. You'll see it on the homepage. You can just take the test, see where you are.
Thanks for listening to this Estate Agency X podcast. Can you make sure that you're actually subscribed to this podcast channel if you liked the content? It helps us massively to get better guests, and it just helps us generally. So you might think you're subscribed, but just have a double check, whatever your podcast platform of preference is, that you're actually subscribed, and then that way we can continue to grow the channel and get better and better guests for you.